let's start with, how is everyone today?
Good.
That's acceptable. It's good that you're starting there because we're having a quiz today. So those who were not here last week, you are exempt. No, you're not, because you could have watched this on YouTube or Facebook, so this goes to you too. Last week, what did we talk about? Give me at least one word or something that tells me that you remember something that we remember, something, just one word that we talked about last week, something.
Yoda.
Okay, Yoda. Thank you, Doug. Anything else?
Power is ours.
Power is ours. Anything else?
Hot dog.
Hot dog! Hot dog. Okay, so, yes, thank you. So, moving right along from there,
Ass.
taking all of that in. I'm going to walk to the highway. Taking all of that in. So, the theme for the month was about treatment, right? And so I started off talking about, rather than it just being about spiritual mind treatment, that it be about how we treat one another and how we are treating ourselves, so that the treatment isn't simply the words we use, but that it's all encompassing of all that we are, right? And I mentioned the thing about the mustard seed and how it doesn't matter, and it was just a way of indicating that it's not about having a lot of faith, because there is no such thing as a lot of faith. It's simply having faith. And as it says, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, then you can tell the mountain to move, right? So it's just having that amount. Now, something that Doug mentioned today that I would like to ask you, bring to your mind someone that for you is spiritual. So just bring this person to your mind. And then what I want you to do is take this person and move them to one side or the other. So imagine that they're standing in front of you, and you ask them to either step to the right or step to the left of you. And then I want you to bring to your mind someone who is not. Someone who is the exact opposite of this spiritual person. And have them move to the other side. So, for example, give me someone, the name of someone that you brought to your mind who is spiritual. Mother Teresa, Deepak Chopra. So they are to one side. Someone who is the counter opposite of them? Donald Trump. Anyone else?
Hitler.
Hitler. Okay. Now, bring to your mind now, you have this spectrum. Bring to your mind, where do you fit in this spectrum? Where in there are you in terms of your spirituality, being a spiritual being within this, right? And then come back. Because today, one of the things we're talking about is judging me by my size, right? And what we do is we judge one another by the size of our spirituality. But if God is all there is, and it's everything, and everyone, then there is no such thing as being more spiritual or less spiritual. We can be more spiritually aware, but we cannot be anything less than God. We cannot be anything less than spiritual. We cannot be anything less than Spirit itself expressing, incarnating in, through, and as us. So when we say, and that was sort of me setting you up, so forgive me. Anytime we set up this paradigm of someone being more, someone being less, and then we are somewhere in there, we run this very interesting cat and mouse kind of game, because we are always going to be trying to seek and attain something that we already are. Was it not, and I could be mistaken at this present moment, was it not Rumi who said, what you seek is seeking you? And to piggyback off of that, you are seeking with that thing that you are seeking. So if you are seeking for God, it is God seeking to reveal itself. So to look for it, you're looking with it. So this whole thing, we're referencing Yoda, just because, it's me. And I mentioned it last week with the whole Yoda is using the Force and telling the X-Wing to rise up and move, and Luke is like, I don't believe you, and Yoda says, that is why you fail, right? So this idea of how are we using this power? If you jump down, it says, in other words, how big is our consciousness? Ernest Holmes says, how much can one demonstrate? Just what one can believe. How much can we see? How much can we accept? How much can we find in consciousness that is no longer repudiated by our own denials? Whatever that is, that much we can have. So, anybody in here familiar with The Secret or the Law of Attraction? So, one of the things that, was real big when that came out, and it was all cool and stuff, was this idea that the law of attraction doesn't care whether you are manifesting a mansion or a button. In the law of attraction, in the law, it's all manifestation, period. So it doesn't matter. Size of the thing doesn't matter. So if you want to manifest a cup of coffee, or you want to manifest your own Starbucks, in spirit, they're the exact same thing. So manifesting whatever it is starts right here with us identifying what is my consciousness allowing me to believe. There's this a great book that Ernest Holmes wrote called The Anatomy of Healing Prayer. And I want to read a couple of things that, just follow me. Ready?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Trust me. So, we will never be any more spiritual than we are right now. And you are greater than every saint and sage any person is, for him or herself, greater than all the saints that ever lived. Because no one can live by proxy. You go there alone. Nobody can open the door but yourself, and no one can close it but yourself. Now let's turn to the center. The only thing we shall ever really know is that the center within the only thing that we will ever really know is the center within ourselves and its relationship to all that is. That is the life within. We make it the law of our own being, each individually, that everything he touches shall be made whole right now. Wherever he walks, there is the light of heaven. Now let's not say, this is too good for me, or I am not good enough for it. The light is there anyway, and all we are doing is recognizing it. And it is there, and we are that, and we can't help it. So we may as well accept it and drop everything out of our thought that denies it. God in you, as you, is you. There is nothing else you can be. God in you, as you, is you. There is nothing else you can be. How does that change the way we now live, move, and have our being when we understand that from this place of consciousness, that Jesus is no different than any of us? Because we still refer to him, or Buddha, as being these enlightened beings who are somehow different, better, more than. And even when we start to think about our own lives with regular things like $1 million. If someone were to offer you $1 million for whatever service it is you do, I'm going to give you $1 million for this. Is there a thought in there that says, do I deserve $1 million for this? I cook. Do I deserve $1 million for this dish that I'm going to cook? I draw or I paint. Do I deserve $1 million for this piece of art I'm doing? I do music. Do I deserve $1 million for these 3 songs? I take care of kids. Do I deserve $1 million to take care of these kids? I don't have a job. I'm retired. I ride my bike and I enjoy my life. And someone's going to give you $1 million for that. Do I deserve $1 million for that? Or do we often feel that we have to earn it? You know, I've often wondered, how many practitioners are in the room at present? Okay. I've often wondered why practitioners and ministers are not bombarded daily with prayer requests. If we believe what we say we believe about this teaching, that we believe that a prayer, an affirmative prayer, a spiritual mind treatment, whatever we're calling it, we believe that when a practitioner or minister speaks these words, they are not, because the words don't matter, they are speaking it from this state of consciousness that they are affirming and declaring that which is true. Meaning, I don't have to wait until something goes wrong, something goes bad for me to pray. I can go to the practitioner. Norm, do me a favor. I want you to pray for me. Things are great right now. Pray that it keeps on keeping on. Matter of fact, this is as great as I know it right now. On a scale of 1 to 10, my great is about a 9.7. I want to know, can great be a 12? Pray for that. You know what? That prayer you did for me last week to get it at 12, it came to a 13. Can we get that great feeling to a 15? Why are we not praying for even greater and greater? Why do we put a cap on this thing that we call God? As if some way, shape, or form, boop, that's as much God as I can. That is it. There can be no more. Because we think of it like it's a cup. And once you put too much in the cup, you can't put any more in the cup. So, but we believe that God is this ever-expanding consciousness, right? We believe that God is this ever-expanding consciousness. What was that last thing I read? God in you, as you, is you. There can be nothing else. So if God is ever-expanding consciousness, what does that say about us? We, therefore, must be it as well. But every time we say things like, I'm not smart enough. You know, in spiritual mind treatment, for those of you who may not know, there are some times when a practitioner or minister will do what is called a denial. Right? We will deny that thing that you believe is really what's holding you down. So we'll say things like, and so what I know is that there is no man, woman, person, circumstance, or situation that can denounce, decry, or destroy that which you are as the isness and allness of love and God itself. There is no job that determines how much you are worth. You are God made flesh. You therefore are worth and worthy and deserving of all of creation. That's a denial. Denying this thing that we think is the boogeyman. There's no boogeyman in there. Look. See? Nothing. That's a denial. And ideally, the goal is that at some point we don't need to speak denials. We just go straight for the declaration and the affirmation. We're going to just talk about what is. I'm not going to even talk about what isn't. Why would I need to talk about that? I'm going to talk about what the truth. But sometimes we have to speak at where the person is. And one of the things that Uncle Ernest also says, let me find this. It's also this is from Science of Mind. If one's blood pressure is high, a demonstration will not have been made until it is reduced to normal. To claim that someone is perfectly normal while the blood pressure remains high would be an affront to the intelligence of any sane individual. Spiritual bypass. So we're not going to say, oh, you're not experiencing high blood pressure. Because, you know what, right now, my back hurts, my knee hurts, my hip hurts, and that wisdom tooth. Don't tell me that they don't. But they don't. That's all in your mind. Going to a different, I'm going to that Baptist church, Doug. So we don't talk about it as if it's, woo-woo, la-la. It's what you are experiencing. But what we are doing is going deeper to that place where there is God in you, as you, does not feel that, cannot feel that. So let's align this part of you, as Doug said, I'm spiritual, but I'm also human. That human part of us feels stuff. It feels grief. It feels sadness. It feels anger. It feels these things. Yes. Spirit, back of everything. Moving in, through, and as everything. When we align both of those and our consciousness comes into coherence with this idea, then nothing is impossible for us. And we can look at the lives of many individuals who, if we were thinking, you know, if I was in that circumstance, if I was in that situation, I don't think I could have done it. Viktor Frankl. How many of us thinks we could have survived a concentration camp? How many of us think we could have survived 1870 slavery with what was going on then? 1965. Like, there are things that if we were to put ourselves in the shoes of, in the life of, like, how did you, we are all on this hero's journey. Every single one of us. And the challenge is, the invitation is for us to look at the container of our consciousness and ask ourselves, what do I think is too big for me to be, to do, to have? We create vision boards and stuff for things we want to manifest, things we want to demonstrate. But are we really willing to get down to the nitty-gritty? Because if we are, then practitioners should be bombarded with. So I have this house. It's based on a Japanese design that I want. It has 2 different wings, because Tracy and I can't live in the same wing of the house. So I have to have my wing, she has to have her wing, then we have the common wing. So I want this to manifest. And I'm sending prayer requests to practitioners. Boom! I know 4,629 practitioners, and all of them right now are praying on this one request, because I sent it to all of them. Why are we not doing that? Why are we waiting until things go wrong? You know, Sue, so I got this flat tire, and I don't have the money to pay for it. Why weren't you praying for good tires before the tire blew out? Right? I want the tires to stay, at least until next payday, so I can get a new tire. Like, what? Why are we not praying and treating from a different consciousness instead of waiting for things to go wrong? Last week, had this very, very enlightening conversation outside, and I'm not going to put her on the spot, but we were having a conversation, and one of the things that came up in conversation was this idea of when you are angry, and some of you, anybody in here from a Christian background? Okay, so you may remember this phrase. Don't let the sun go down on your anger. Right? And typically we have this idea of that being, don't go to bed angry. But one of the things that she enlightened me about was, while we were conversing, she said this spirit said, and this whole different paradigm of consciousness came to her, where she said, what if what it means is, and I'm paraphrasing what she said, what if what it means is don't let the sun, don't let your inner light be dimmed by this anger. Don't let your light go down with the anger. What if it's that? And see, we get into this thing where we wrestle with all of these things. You know, in the Bible says we wrestle with principalities and stuff. Yeah. Concepts and paradigms and consciousness of how bad we are. We say in religious science we don't believe in sin, but you know, on any given day, in certain conversations, you wouldn't know it. Because many of us are still referring to our lives as broken, as sinners, saved by grace. And I understand the concept. Trust and believe I do. Like I said last week, I understand in ways that, which is why I know for a fact that this philosophy works. Having been someone who prayed and wanted to die and be dead and all, now I enjoy life even when things aren't that great. Heather and I were outside talking about as Iyanla would say, the conflama, the confusion and drama that is currently going on in my family life. And it's even in the midst of the storm, even in the midst of the heaviness of, I know God in me, as me, is me. There can be nothing else. And if that's the case, then I can do all things through that power, which is the I am, which just isn't in me. It is as me. Right? So it's not just in, it's as, and it is. I can do all things. Now, typically, we would say, I can do all things through Christ too. Yeah, but that which the Christ is you. The I am is you. There is no task, no class, no certification, no test, no struggle, no trauma, nothing that you right now do not have the fortitude and the ability to say, mountain, be gone. Storm, be still. Waters, be quiet. Right now, we have that. There isn't another workshop that we need to take. There isn't another Sunday talk that we need to hear, although please do come back. There isn't another Sunday talk that we need to hear. Because I like y'all, I love y'all, I want to see your faces. There isn't another Sunday talk we need to hear. There isn't another book. There isn't another anything, podcast that we need to listen to. Take nothing right now. All that is perfection itself is sitting right there where you are. Nothing else need be added. The only thing that shifts is our consciousness and our acceptance of that. Are we willing to accept, to embrace how great we are? The thing that made Yoda such a great Jedi Master was he knew who and what he was. The only thing that gave Luke eventually the ability to become a Jedi Master was to recognize, I know what I am. Now check this out. How many Empire Strikes Back fans in the room? So, Darth Vader would be considered the ultimate, he and the Emperor, the ultimate evil in the Star Wars genre. And yet Luke stands before the both of them and says, I see good in you. No, there is. I see good in you. Search your feelings, Father. There is good there. He was willing to look past the mask. Past. Now this man, Anakin Skywalker, slaughtered young Padawans. And yet his son was willing to see past his past, to see beyond what he had done, to see what he could be in this moment now. Are we willing and able to look into the mirror and see past our past? Are we willing to see what we can be the moment we stand in this moment of saying, God in me, as me, is me. There is nothing else. There is nothing else. How great does that mean you are right here and right now? Let's pray. We breathe, anchoring into the inhale and exhale, the divine ruach, the breath of life. Simply allowing that which the universe is to breathe itself as us. Surrendering. No concern for where the next breath will come from, and no concern for where that last breath went. Simply present in this inhale and exhale. And so from this place of surrender, what I know is that God, Source, Spirit, the infinite I am, that which is the force, is all there is. It being all there is, it must be right here, right now, incarnating itself in, through, and as me. And what is true for me is true for everyone in this room. God is in, God is showing up as, and God is each and every one of us. And knowing that this infinite power, this expanding consciousness, this thing that no matter what name it goes by is beyond all names. The infinite I am, love made flesh, magnificence given body, beauty with form. That which it is, I am. And knowing that that which it is, I am, anything that I think, anything that I speak, anything that I am willing to yield into the law is what I am calling forth into manifestation. And so I think on things of a higher consciousness, love, joy, peace, beauty, unity, a world that works for the highest and best of all. When I speak the vibration of that which I think, love, joy, peace, beauty, magnificence, unity, the infinite power of all that is to come together as one. I allow myself to feel what this feels like so that I can roll up my sleeves and be about walking the walk of God on earth. Spirit, right here, right now. There is nothing else that I can be. And what is true for me is true for all here. In gratitude, I know this is our truth. In gratitude, I know that that which God is, we are. In gratitude, I know that as we allow our minds and our words and our feelings and our actions to be anchored in, grounded in, growing from the very soil and foundation of love itself, there is no way darkness can succeed. There is no way that war can continue. There is no way that poverty can remain. For what we know is that God is a God of abundance. God is a God of light. Spirit is a spirit of love. And so we speak this, we think this, we feel this. We are contagious with this vibration, and we carry this out into the world. This is the gratitude that I feel. From this place of gratitude, I place this into the law because I know that these are not my words, but these are the words of the infinite I am, speaking through itself, about itself, and now back unto itself. Anchored, done, and released. I know it is so. And together we say, and so it is.